everybody. Welcome back to the Mediocre Disc Golf Podcast, an average podcast for the average disc golfer. As always, I'm Evan Amstutz, joined by Kim and Josh Hatcher. We're happy you could join us. Kim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Today was day 3 back at it after taking 3 weeks off with my back. So it was good. We went to Tusk and we played, what did we play?
We played short to long.
Short to long, which is like a pretty good layout. And it was nice. I feel like a wobbly giraffe when I throw. Because I don't know where the power is coming from. My form looks atrocious. It's fine. Everything's fine. I love disc golf. So
I like how you could have just stopped at giraffe, or you could have said that you felt wobbly in your form, but you had to combine the two.
But it makes sense. I don't know. It was nice to go out today. I really focused on disking up. So holes normally I try to get a mid there or a fairway there. I really was just throwing my distance drivers. I lost my Zeus the other day, so had to replace it. But I've been throwing the crap out of this Force. And it flies so nice. It doesn't have a flip, but it just glides. If I can get it flat, the thing is going. So it was a pretty good day. What about you? How you been doing?
I've been doing well. I've kind of got out of a little bit of a slump, and
You just won a freaking tournament.
Well, that's part of it, Kim. Thanks for spoiling it.
What do you mean? I'm confused.
I was in a slump and then proceeded to play well in a tournament and win it.
I feel that. I've done that with softball. I've been like in a trash slump, hitting 9th, and then all of a sudden you're going 4 for 4, and then you're back. You're back to 0-3 every day.
But yeah, I won my first MA1 tournament that wasn't a flex start weird one rounder. So
those don't count? Why aren't we counting those? I feel like flex starts can still count though.
Somewhat. The one that I won was a tie, and there's only 3 people, so I tied a third of the field for the win. So there's just a lot of caveats to it. So
what course was that?
It was at the Swanee Open. They had like a little temporary course that they put in.
No, Evan. Which one did you win?
I won the North presented by Paron Disc Golf at Trinity North.
How many tournaments have they been doing at Trinity North? I feel like they've been like knocking them out. I didn't know
they did the doubles a couple weeks ago that Josh and I played. Then they just did this one past weekend, and then this weekend there'll be another one. There'll be an NADGT out there.
I mean, I'm glad, like, new course. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like new course, so everyone's trying to like throw tournaments at it, and like the other courses aren't really getting a ton of love up in Jacksonville. Is there other ones going on?
There'll be the Dan Berman Memorial Tournament in June at Four Palms. There'll be, I don't know if it's sanctioned, but there'll be a fundraiser for Jonathan Crow going to Worlds at Springfield.
Oh, I saw he posted that. It's at Springfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not really anything at Ronnie Van Zant, but that's not a good tournament course just because of how close all the fairways are to each other and just general safety and all that good stuff. And they generally don't run tournaments at St. Augustine other than the Lighthouse Open. So yeah, Trinity has gotten a lot of tournaments lately. And it's funny because I don't particularly love Trinity, or at least up until recently when they redid it. But I have my worst finish at any Trinity tournament is second place.
Ugh.
Which is
such a hard life.
Which is weird considering I rarely play it and it's not one of my favorites. But
it's probably why you do well at it though, because you just go out and you're just like, all right, whatever, let me knock it out.
Probably. But just got in the zone, wasn't worried. I definitely didn't play my best, but I was able to pull away from like a 5-way tie at one point with like 6 or 7 holes to go, there was a 5-way tie. So I was able to kind of hit the gas pedal with the last 5 holes and take down my first multi-round MA1 win.
Heck yeah, put it in the record books.
Yeah. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been just keeping up with my practice and everything. I haven't really been doing much else, just kind of sticking with my game. And
You've been getting ready for the distance comp.
I have. So I've been practicing is really and honestly what I've been doing a lot of. I've been doing a lot of practicing. Obviously me and you played in a doubles event, and you witnessed firsthand that my distance comparatively to normal has been very much struggling. I know this is like not something that a lot of people get to say, but I've kind of been sitting only at about 500, and that's pretty weak for me.
Poor baby.
Trying.
Oh, no, poor baby. No, only 500.
But trying to get past 500 has been a real struggle. So I've been out just trying to find my rhythm again, trying to be fluid and smooth and fast, and try to get back to where I was, because I just feel so weak right now. So just trying to get that back, and meanwhile remain with the accuracy that I have been having recently. Like, my backhand accuracy has been at an all-time high, which has been great, but anytime I try to power up, it's been miserable. So just been trying to work on that and figure it out. I haven't done much else otherwise. It's just practicing, honestly.
Well, you've been also trying to find out what disc you want to use for the distance comp.
Yeah. I'm still not sure.
I haven't picked one yet. So many.
Still not sure.
Have you stopped by the disc shop to pick one of those out?
Well, we were up there last weekend and I grabbed a couple discs, but technically no.
You should go to the disc shop and check it out.
And Josh, you could use our code to get 10% off MDG Pod.
What? Because if it's on sale, it feels better.
Yeah, despite the fact that I, have my own code too.
But if you use MDG Pod, you get 10% off.
Oh, okay. You guys should use that code.
And never Josh's code. Don't ever use Josh's code.
Yeah, don't ever use Josh's code. Use my code. I like to show up.
No, your code's been used enough.
My code's been used a lot.
Yeah, go check out our friends at the disc shop, and maybe you can find a disc that you can just weekly throw 500 feet and complain about it later. They sell them. I've seen Josh do it and still complain about it. So,
what disc are you on right now? You've been trying the end of a charger.
Yeah, so I have a couple discs. I don't have 5 of the same disc other than Calvin Destroyers, because that's my main go-to driver when I golf. So I have kind of some not so used discs by me. I have a Star Plastic Destroyer that I've been really liking. It's got the bogeys are dumb stamp on it.
Bogeys are dumb,
which is phenomenal. And it makes me want to throw it more. And then I have 2, I don't even know what plastic they're in. It's the see-through plastic that's kind of like Champ Plastic Ballista Pros that I've really been liking.
It's the Lucid plastic.
Is it Lucid? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I had them. I got them in a player's pack, and I literally pulled them out of a box the other day just to
Is the Chain Hawk one?
Yeah, the Chain Hawk Open one.
Those are Lucid Ballista Pros.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest, I've never really been a huge fan of Last 64 discs other than the Compass. I was a really big fan of the Compass back in the day. And then I picked those puppies up and I was throwing them in an open field, and they just go. Like, they feel really good in the hand, and they fly really well. I was very surprised. I was pleasantly surprised.
If you're thinking Star Destroyers are kind of like Disc Grab Zeus's. Kind of.
No, they're not.
Not kind of. You should try the Tour Series Disc Grab Scorch. You should try it. You should try the Tour Series Zeus. It'll probably be more stable because the Tour Series ones are more stable.
So I don't know how the new ones are, but I will say when the Scorch first came out, I was using a Z Scorch as a roller.
You can throw a Halo Destroyer as a roller, so don't use that as a thing. You can throw anything as a roller. We know it. It's annoying, okay? Mr. Oh, I'm at 500. I feel weak.
Thanks for coming on the show, Josh. We're just gonna roast you the whole time.
So glad I can be here. So glad.
As your doubles partner with your wife as a co-host, there's no escape at this point. You're just gonna get roasted.
Yeah.
Roasted.
But no, the Z Scorch is nice. Or well, I guess the Tour Series Scorch is whatever one you're trying to push on people right now. The Scorch is a nice disc. But I don't think I would ever use it at a distance. Like just strictly, I'm gonna bomb.
But you're throwing a Charger.
Yeah, it's a 13 speed disc.
Yeah, but I've seen you throw it, and that thing is flippy
It's
for you.
flippy. Yeah.
So don't knock it till you charge it.
If you want me to take your Scorch out, I will.
Give it a whirl. Give it a whirl. Let me know. I'll let Discraft know if we need more.
Okay.
So what are you looking for in a distance disc?
What are you looking for?
I plan on having kind of 2 sets of discs that are kind of dependent on how I'm feeling that day. So I plan on having one's like 5 discs set for when I feel good and 5 discs set for like when I don't feel as strong. So it's just trying to find that balance. Like I'll have 5 flippier discs. Like the Charger is a pretty flippy disc for somebody with my arm speed, where I can throw it on hyzer high and left and have it turn a lot. But then I also plan on having a little bit more stable run, like that. You said Lucid plastic Ballista Pros are a little bit more stable.
Mhm.
So when I throw those, I still throw them a little high, but I hit them more flat instead of on hyzer. And I get kind of the same flight or a similar flight, I guess. So I'll probably have two different sets and just try to gauge where my arm's at the day of for when I do the distance competition. But really, it's just about trying to match the disc to what your arm's feeling like that day to maximize distance. Like some days when I go out and I'm playing around, some days my Calvins are like right up the alley, and some days I'm throwing more of a Photon 11 speed, like Fission Photon, where it's a little flippier. It just kind of depends on where the arm is going to be.
I'm going to be honest. I think you might even need a level of like, wow, I'm feeling strong. I don't know about you, but like when I get into moments, like a distance comp type of situation, I always feel like I have this power that just came out of nowhere because I am in front of people and I'm doing something that like the intent. So like maybe have something you're like, holy cow, I'm turning every single one of these over. I need something that can handle it. Like just that step up almost. If you're going to go step down, go step up. So that way you have 3 and you can kind of like play with it the day of.
Yeah. So that's kind of where that Ballista Pro comes in, is like, if I'm throwing the Ballista Pros or a disc similar to a Ballista Pro in stability, if I'm throwing that flat, then if I'm feeling good, like even better that day, I just start throwing them on a little hyzer and get
as long
the
as you
same
have a
play.
game plan.
Yeah, I do. Yesterday, Evan, I went out and I went to the football field at the high school that I teach at in jeans. And I was out there for an hour just throwing absolute as far as I can.
I think it's 90 degrees in Florida right now. So you're in jeans throwing 500 plus feet. People would find that highly annoying.
It was either that or drive 20 minutes home and then drive 20 minutes to another field. So I just decided to throw on jeans. Yeah.
Did you watch any coverage? No. What was this weekend? Hold on. It was OTB and I was in, it was Mother's Day weekend. That's why we didn't really watch a whole lot. I did put it on in the morning sometimes. Evan, did you watch any coverage?
Yeah, I managed to mostly catch the MPO in the afternoon just because, like you said, it's Mother's Day. I was doing more of that stuff in the morning. So caught the MPO coverage both days.
Anything of interest in the MPO side?
The first Lone Star person took it down.
Yeah, Emerson did take it down. Somebody posted, they're like, this is for the short kings out there.
Yeah. He played consistently the whole time. He kept a level head. I don't think he set the course record on the Saturday round 2, but then on the Sunday round, he really just stayed out of trouble.
Yeah.
Gannon, I believe, no, Gannon did not take the course record because he bogeyed the last hole.
Yeah.
But Gannon went on a huge charge from the 5th card. But
Was it 5th card? I knew it was pretty far back.
yeah, he was 5th card because coming down the stretch in round 2, he took a quadruple bogey on a hole because he missed a gap, had to kind of like punch out to the fairway, then threw OB again, and then I believe missed a putt on a par 4.
Yeah,
I don't know if I got that math right. I just know he went OB at least twice, and his tee shot was maybe 50 feet off the tee. So he just did one of those things that all AMs do, and sometimes even the pros do, of turning a bad shot into an even worse shot by compounding the problem. So it was rough to watch, but also sitting there like, one of us.
You know, with Emerson winning, I'm really happy for him and all that, but I just didn't expect it. Like, not that Lone Star's not a company that can't put out winners, but does it sound rude to say, like, of all the people, I kind of expected Nico to be the first Lone Star winner first?
Nico or Deanne.
Yeah, or Deanne, definitely. I don't know. I'm happy for him, but it was just strange. We did have a lot of big names. I think we did. It was just very strange to see somebody
It was also
not usually a top name, but I like it.
It was a weird weekend. I think it was really windy. Paul and Ricky weren't there, so it was kind of open season. And Gannon kind of blew up. Isaac Robinson was on a heater for a little bit and then fell apart.
Yeah.
Like no one
showed up.
No one took a chance or took the momentum. No one just
Emerson
said, this is my turn.
But Emerson did. And that's why he won, because he took the momentum. I mean, setting the course record. If you set the course record, you should win. You should be playing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed like it really suited his game well of just staying out of trouble.
Yeah. Well, on the girl side, did you see Madison Walker?
I left that
vague. What do you think of when I say that? I left it vague.
I think of her posting her like 5-putt.
So bad. Honestly, though, she has a highlight for Disc Golf Pro Tour. She like had a really great hole, and then she had the highlight and like the downlight, like it was
the low light. Yeah,
the low light.
It was funny. Again, one of us moment, but it was cool to see that like she took it well. Because especially when you're doing it for a living, I'm sure that could be devastating if you're not in the right headspace.
Oh, 100%.
We've seen disc golf shots or disc golf moments on the top 10, the ESPN top 10. Do you think we'll ever get a disc golf experience on ESPN's not top 10?
Oh,
what would that take?
What would it take to be on the not top 10?
This is a great question.
I feel like the guy doing at European Open last year, I feel like that got on not top 10.
Wait, what? European Open?
Where the guy just laser beamed it into the crowd. I feel like that one, I feel like I saw that one on
That's a good one.
But I feel like it'd have to be something, if that didn't end up, it'd have to be something like that where like the general population doesn't need to understand every aspect of the sport. Like if someone completely grip locks something and misses a Mando, we think it's like a funny goof. But
they're like it's another gap.
Yeah, like other people wouldn't understand. Laser beaming the crowd with a high-speed driver is really bad, and anybody can recognize that was not what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's got to be like a what the F Richard moment for sure.
Yeah.
That was a great one. That was a good one.
And now let's move on to our fan favorite segment, Hoffy's Heaters, brought to you by Spikeheiser Dyes. This is where our social media manager, Matt Hoffman, gives his hot takes on things that no one else is talking about.
Probably for a good reason.
Most of the time, it's for a good reason. Let's see what he has to say today.
I want to start this Hoffy's Heater by first of all giving a huge shout out to the groups of people that take the time to successfully rake and run disc golf return pages. Number one, I want to give a shout out to like Nick Griffith, Paul Haskew Jr. here in the Jacksonville community, Brandon Langford, guys who actively rake our places of play and get those discs back to our amazing groups of people. But this heater is focused on those who don't. The people who take the time to rake, take the time to go out to those places of play and remove those discs from our bodies of water and never return them to our population who deserve to play. Now, those people, in my opinion, are pure scum of the earth. People who are out here to make a profit and working with our population and working with the stores in the area to return those discs and are just there to make a profit. And whether they're taking them for self-gain, whether they're making a profit off them by dyeing them or returning them or selling them to disc golf stores around the country, I'm having a really tough time with the amount of discs that I've lost that haven't been returned. But I know people who are raking these lakes, raking these ponds, raking these streams, who I know have my discs in their possession and have not returned them. So this Hoffy's Heater is aimed at you. But like I said, huge shout out to the ones who are returning the discs, because you guys are great members of our community. You are doing a lot of good work. And especially you, Nick Griffith, special shout out because you have 400 discs in your backyard and you deserve all the credit for carrying those around with you every single day, getting those back to our community members and our players. So thank you. And also, if you don't, you suck.
All right, I wasn't going to cut him off in the middle of thanking someone, but
Oh, you're so sweet.
I was about to, and then I was like, no, he's not complaining about something. We'll allow it here.
All right. I mean, I think we all agree here that people who don't return discs are pretty low, scummy people.
Yeah,
People who go out of their way to get the discs and not return them. There you go.
Yeah, it's more of like if they're knowledgeable in disc golf. Like I've seen people out at Four Palms or they're just out there playing disc golf for the first time and they find a disc like, oh my gosh, this is so much cooler than my DX Shark. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand the return culture of disc golf and how like that's a big part of it. But there are definitely people out there that like I know that they have discs that I've lost, I've seen from afar, but it's just not even worth the time to confront them that they're throwing my disc. Some people are actually, I've had someone rake my disc, sell it, someone go and buy it, and then they realize that they bought my disc and they return it to me.
But
funny. I've not, like, that's a frustrating thing because this person bought this nice disc and then they were nice enough to return it, but it should have just been returned to me to begin with.
So you want a funny story about something kind of similar to that?
No, I do not.
Cole Hunter.
Cole Hunter.
Yep. Big man, Wreck-It Ralph. So obviously Cole can get away with some things because he's just a big guy and he's somewhat intimidating.
Oh, I know the story you're telling.
There's a guy that is notorious for doing exactly what you're talking about, where he goes and he finds people's discs, whether he's getting them out of trees or a lake or whatever. And he is notorious for coming to league on Wednesdays. He doesn't play. He just has a bunch of discs in the back of his car and he brings his car out there and he sells discs out of his trunk. And they're always used discs. And Cole was looking through the back of his trunk and everything, just seeing what he had. Because buying discs is fun. And he picked up a disc, and the name on the back was one of our buddies from the local league. And he goes, "Oh, I know this guy. I'm going to take this."
I just walked away.
Didn't pay the guy nothing. Just took the disc and left.
Nice.
Like, this isn't your disc. You don't need to be selling this. You obviously found this. It's definitely his disc. It has his name on it right there. So I'm going to take this. And
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that guy out recently.
I haven't seen him recently either, but maybe he got scared off by a couple guys doing the same thing.
I mean, at Reed Canal, if you lose a disc, if you forget a disc, it's not coming back. I don't know who's taking it, if it's locals or something, but if you leave a disc, it's not coming back to you at Reed Canal. Like, I
Yeah.
lost my Zeus on Monday. I feel like I know which hole it was. Now, I haven't gotten a phone call, and we were out there at League on Wednesday. So,
Yeah, there's definitely discs where like you put it in the pond and you go, oh, damn it, I now know that I need the right person to find that in order to get it back.
Yes.
Like I've put some nice dyed discs in there, and like I'm like, that's gone forever. I put a American flag fly dye Undertaker in the pond at Four Palms, maybe 5 feet off the shore, like somewhere that someone absolutely was gonna be able to pull it, and I never got it back. But like I put it in there and I went,
Yeah.
there's no way that's coming back if like 3 people don't pull it.
Yeah, we've talked about it, you and I, on the podcast about like, there's a, like, if you find someone's disc and you reach out to them, it's now their job to get the disc back from you. Like,
Right.
you put the ball in their court. Like, that is different from what we're saying. These are people who just like don't reach out. They're like, ooh, this is so pretty, it's mine. It's like, actually, we've got good people in New Smyrna, because Josh, you gave your eagle to Brandon Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
And it still had all your name on it, but you were like, oh, here, like, take this disc. Brandon, therefore, lost it the next day.
Those are always fun.
Yeah. And Brandon had put his name on it, but didn't like scratch off. Josh has just added his name to it. And the guys who found the disc saw Josh's name and went, oh no, like, we're giving this back to Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh was like, oh, I actually gave this to Brandon. They're like, oh, we didn't know, but we saw your name and we thought he took it. I was like, that's good people. We'll respect that.
Yeah, I've actually had a disc. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but I've had the disc show up in Northern California.
Yep.
And
you
I
told
know,
me this.
yeah, I know for a fact that disc did not go to California because I brought it there. I actually know exactly where I lost it, but I'm not going to point fingers here. But
That just, well, I think we talked about it before. I lost my Undertaker at DeBerry. I knew exactly what hole. We couldn't find it. You remember, you were there. You were there too. I got a call the next week. The guy said, hey, I found this at Barnett Park. I was like, I don't even think I've ever thrown at Barnett Park before. And the guy was like, oh, well, I found it. And I was like, oh, cool. Could you drop it off at Disc Golf Center? Like, anytime you can. Like, I'm so glad someone found it, even if someone took it and then lost it again. I have gone to Disc Golf Center so many times. Reed Hancock works there, and the guy who owns Disc Golf or manages it, really nice guy. He knows who I am. Nobody has found the disc. Nobody's returned it. It's like this guy was like, yeah, I called her, told her I was going to do this, but joke's on her. I really like it.
I've had a couple people like, they'll call me and I'm like, okay, cool. And like try to set up a time and they just completely ghost me. But
Yeah.
so don't do that. That sucks. Like,
And
that's almost worse than not calling at all. Like, if you had no intention of giving it back to me, don't even like, that's a power move at that point.
It's honestly like, I get like the ball's in your court now. I didn't save his number, and I get so many phone calls from parents for my job that like I can't even go back and find that guy's number. He said he was going to drop it off at the shop. Like, come on. It's fine. I'm not mad.
You know what's crazy is like, you have people out there like that that'll keep, like, her Undertaker. Yeah, it was dyed pretty, but it was a stock run ESP Undertaker. Like, it wasn't special. Right. Like, I'm the kind of guy that, like, the more valuable a disc is, the more likely I am to like put in the extra effort to get it back to that person. Like, I found like a 4-claw Buzz at Reed. I found well, I was with KP when he found Paul Macbeth's 4-claw Force at Four Palms.
Yep.
And then I found I think it was a 2016 or 2017 Nate Sexton Firebird at Doris that belonged to one of our buddies. And like, every single time I find an extremely valuable disc that I know someone out there is like panicking that they're missing this disc, like, I tried to go out of my way to get discs back to those people, because like, I know what it feels like. Like, we all know what it feels like to lose a disc, like, especially if it's like one that's special to you. Like, it sucks. Like, I don't get why people are like this.
Yeah. I mean, they're not turning a huge profit if you think about it. I don't know. Some people just don't think twice about it. So
I just don't get it. And like, when I was last year when I went to Picard Park where the Des Moines Challenge is being held, and I just played there with a bunch of the locals who run the club there. I remember they were telling me the pond, if you guys remember the hole, it's an island hole. The pond kind of peaks in there. It's kind of a peninsula, but they play it as an island. You know which hole I'm talking about at the Picard Park? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of.
Yep.
Okay. That hole, you also throw across it for another hole. It's the same hole that Simon beat that other dude on for the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that a guy goes out there on a boat and he will fish the discs out and he will not return them. He will only sell it back to you. And I think they said he does call, but he doesn't give it back for free. Like you have to pay him.
Now that gets into a whole nother thing of, I do think if someone returns, you should give them a couple of bucks, especially if it's like a valuable disc, because
Yes
that
and no.
incentivizes
But I didn't
returning.
ask you to go swimming in the lake to go get it.
I don't know. I try to give someone, if they return a disc, a couple bucks, because like especially in Jacksonville, there is a really bad stretch where you lose a disc at Four Palms or a bunch of other courses and it end up at a certain pro shop, and that pro shop would then, like, you had to pay them to get it back. So because of that, I'm especially like, I really try to pay attention and appreciate the people who do truly return it and don't try to flip the discs, because it's irritating.
Yeah, I feel okay. I see what you mean. I feel like it's one of those things like when I'm answering emails, I'll be like, I'll respond, I'll keep going. But the second someone double emails me, I'm like, I can't respond now. Can't do it. Like I would happily like be thankful, be grateful. But the moment someone's like, actually, it's $2 because I went and found it, I'd be like, I ain't paying you. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's that situation.
That's fair. When they expect it, it's different. But I don't know. There's a whole culture. Return disc. If you find a disc, return it. I won't deny that if I find a disc, I'm like, please don't, that I want, I'm like, please don't have a name on it. Please don't have a name on it. Please don't have a name on it. But if it has a name on it, do the right thing. Call them, figure it out, all that good stuff. Well, that was quite the heater. And if you want a disc that is an absolute heater that you hopefully don't throw into a pond and lose forever, go check out Spikeheiser Dyes. Brandon is creating amazing dyes for everyone to enjoy, and you can check him out on Instagram at shdyes_DG and see what he has to offer in the shop, or you can request something custom. Spikeheiser Dyes, excellence by design. Well, why don't we move into our main topic for today, is moving up divisions or changing divisions in general. All three of us have played in pretty much every division for the most part that you can. I really want to hear, because I had a little bit of a different approach, I know, than Josh did. I know there's a lot of controversy around when people move up and when they shouldn't. We're not even going to touch the
We're not touching it.
AM1 to pro. That's a whole.
We're not touching it.
That's a whole nother podcast. There's a lot of emotions in that because people get emotional about disc golf for some reason.
I'm emotional, period, about life.
So we're not going to bring it up because Kim might start crying. But what made you guys move up a division? Like, let's just say rec to intermediate.
I think we both can say the same thing. We rated out in like first tournament.
Okay, I did the same thing. So that wasn't a good example.
That was a horror trash. F8. So you meant we get A2 to A1?
Yeah. Yeah, A2 to A1. Let's talk there.
For me, it was I got bumped up. It was like I went from being 801 to like 820 over on a Tuesday, and I had a tournament that weekend and went, ooh, the cutoff for FA1 is like FA FA is 825. So at 820, I was like, I should probably move up. I had already been feeling it. Like I had already been playing really well and just knew that like, I don't know. I just felt like it was time, and I made a call. It was the Savannah Open, so I was able to call our friend and I said, "Hey, can you just move me up?" And they said, "Yeah, no problem." They moved me up, no questions asked. I ended up winning that tournament, so I was like, "Thank goodness I moved up." But for me, it was a ratings update, and I just wanted it to feel right. What about you?
For me, I rated out of MA2 pretty quickly as well. I think I only played three tournaments in MA2.
Well, you won the Bacon Park one in Georgia, and that's when you moved up.
Yeah, that was
on.
my third. Yeah, I played FA2. Yeah,
Truly, for me, if on it as your wife looking at your situation, like that tournament, you felt like the guys were constantly kind of not making fun of you, but making comments that you threw too far.
Yeah, I did have. Well, I had an issue with that when I played my first tournament in RAC too. I remember playing with Daniel Alexander and throwing on hole B at 4 palms, and Dan going, "You're the furthest throwing RAC player I've ever seen," and I didn't win that tournament. I took second, so I wasn't. Obviously, the rest of the game wasn't there. Right. But no, for moving out of MA2, I think I played 3 tournaments. I played at a tournament called Honey Creek, which is in South Georgia.
They don't do it anymore.
They don't even do it anymore. But that was actually a pretty good tournament. That was a good tournament. But I played at Honey Creek. I won at Honey Creek. That was my first intermediate tournament ever, and I won it by 1 stroke. And then I played Throwdown, and I played pretty mediocre.
Woo.
Yeah, name drop. And then I played Bacon Park after that, and I won by 3 strokes and rated out as well. So like,
you did rate out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a second win and rated out all at the same time. So for me, it just kind of worked out nicely.
Yeah.
Like I had to, but I also needed to. Like,
yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah. What about you, Evan?
Rated out a rec MA2 to MA1. I got to this point where I could tell I learned really well by getting absolutely wrecked by the rest of the field. Like I learned by watching. I learned best by getting wrecked. Yeah. But like playing with people like Aaron Doyle, like Josh, where they can show me holes in my game and what I need to work on. Like go play around with Aaron and he throws a shot that I'm like, I cannot do that. That's something I need to work on. And that's how I like progress through it. Or Matt Brown or Nick Masters, like a bunch of people in our area that are really, really good. Like those are the people that I want to be playing with, especially in tournaments where I was still trying to learn how to play disc golf and like be in the tournament mindset. I just felt that in MA2 I wasn't getting that. I also think MA2 here's my heater for the week. MA2 is one of the worst divisions in disc golf because it's a very bad blend of people who are good enough to...
Josh, don't hurt your neck. Don't hurt your neck.
They're good enough to not play rec, but they don't care. And people who really, really, really care way too much, but they're not good enough to play MA1. And like that combination, you can end up on cards with a dude who's high as a kite and all he wants to do is finish the round so he can start drinking beer, along with the person who is pulling on a measuring tape to make sure you're in your little square for your lie behind your disc. Josh, isn't that true? Like MA2,
oh, yeah.
There are some
100%.
psychopaths.
Yeah. From what I've experienced with it's a bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you go and you watch like the MA4 cards, like if you hang out with Hoffy on his cards back when he was playing MA4, Those guys were there, like they knew that they weren't good at the game and they knew that they were learning, and they were all there supporting each other and having fun. And then rec, you kind of like had a continuance of that, but then every now and then you'd find a guy that's way too serious for no apparent reason. Intermediate is like the cream of the crop of like just people you don't really typically want to be around, and then it kind of goes back downhill. I'm sorry if you play intermediate, by the way, I really am. But like if you go into the higher divisions, it seems like people get nicer. Like when I played MPO for a couple of events, I was like, wow, these guys are like incredibly supportive. Like you would think that you'd think that those guys would be like,
Yeah, you would think.
You would think that they would be harder on it and that it would be more tense. And it's way in the exact opposite direction. It's so much more chill. Like obviously, like everyone's very respectful and you give each other your space and your time, and no sign or no sounds or anything like that. But man, like it gets better if you go higher by far.
Yeah, I think the perfect example of that is my first tournament. I played rec. I was on lead card for the second round, and that might have been the most quiet card I've ever played on in disc golf. Like no one was talking. Everybody's like really, really nervous. And I'm definitely kind of a vibes player. Like if my card is vibing, I play a lot better because I'm just having a good time.
He's a vibes person.
And so like I struggled that round because I couldn't like mentally build any momentum. And then I went and caddied for Aaron Doyle after the round in MPO, and he was on lead card in MPO. They were all having a blast. Like they were playing for, I think the winner took home like $1,000, $1,500, some like a pretty solid purse, and you wouldn't have known it. So I think the mentality, it's also like maybe a bit being jaded at the end, where it's like when you reach MPO, you played so much disc golf that like you're numb to the pressure or just don't care at that point.
I don't think I think numb to the pressure is a better way to say it. I definitely think it's not a you don't care, because they definitely care about income, you know. But to your point, I think a mentality shift is massive when you talk about it. Like when I watch MA2 players, and you know, when I myself was an MA2 player, looking back, like the thing that really held me back was the way that I thought about the game and the way that I thought about myself as a player during those rounds. Like I would put so much pressure on myself. Like I have to be good. I can't, like I already won an MA1 event or MA2 event. I can't not do well here. And I really think like when I went and played Throwdown when I was in MA2, I think that's what really did me in, was expecting myself to be at the top of the field and just not, you know, you make one mistake and you start to blow up on yourself. And like that's pretty common with MA2 players. When I have played with guys who are playing currently in MA2 recently, I noticed that they are very quick to blow up on themselves over like
little things.
There's a guy in league here who's an MA2 player who he like slays himself when he misses a 45-foot putt. I'm like, dude, I'm like 15% at 45. Like,
yeah,
don't get mad at yourself.
The guy who screams at himself when he hits band on a 50-footer through the woods.
Yeah, like be realistic. Like,
yeah,
set high expectations for yourself, but you can't be mad if you're not hitting those because you're not there.
And I think that gets into moving up, like understanding the expectations and that sort of thing. I know plenty of people who stay in rec because they want their first win, and then they just stay in rec and stay in rec and then stay in rec, but they don't learn how to play up, and they just expect at a certain point to win. So they go into all these tournaments trying to win. And they're also now becoming that guy or girl who's like 2 points below the rating ceiling, and the second they win, everybody move up. Like, no, there's not a lot of people who appreciate that they won, or there's jackasses who are upset that the highest rated person in the field won. Like, playing within the rules, but I also think that you alleviate some bullying if you move up quicker.
I think too, it turns into like almost like a bit of a cancer in your head. If you're in that situation, if you're in rec and you've played in a lot of tournaments and you're waiting for your win, you're like, I'm going to move up when I get a win. I'm going to do it. Like, I have to get a win though. Every single time you're going to a tournament, when you take one bogey, immediately you've looked at the scorecard and you've gone, oh no, like I might not be able to get this win. And then you start making dumb decisions because you're trying to get yourself in a position just to win. Like that's all you're there for, is just to win. You're not there to play well, have fun, improve your rating. Like you're not there for the right reasons. And if you're there only to win, like there's no guarantee that you could ever even do that. I mean, there's even for, what we see in the MPO on tour, like those guys don't go out there and expect to win. Like that's not a thing. Any guy can show up. Emerson Keith can come out of nowhere and freaking take a Disc Golf Pro Tour win because he just played well that day.
He did well, and he
like that can happen in any division.
Yeah,
any
wasn't
division.
Wasn't it Eagle back a couple years ago at D-Glow? He didn't even realize that he won. Like he was playing his game so much that they had to tell him as he was walking off the green to like do his normal post-round routine. They're like, dude, you won. You need to go accept the trophy.
Yeah. Sayanana did that for Texas States. She was it Texas States. She didn't realize how big of a lead she had going into hole 18, and she ran a 40-foot putt with a death putt, and she made it because she was so frightened that Kristen Tatar was going to tighten the gap, and she didn't want to put the gas. She didn't want to let up on the gas at all, so she kept going. Didn't even realize it. And everyone's like, "What is she doing?"
Yeah.
You guys made a point about MA2. Like we all have similarities in our stories about how we moved up and everything. FA2 is one of my favorite divisions.
Interesting.
FA2 was so much fun when I played in it. I felt like the girls had fun. We were still serious, but it wasn't too much. FA1 is where I mean, I play FPO most of the time, so I could say that I don't play it anymore. But FA1's where I felt like there was so much pressure. It wasn't fun sometimes. People were pulling out the measuring tape or pulling out the Bushnell rangefinder on me. That's where I felt like I didn't have as much of enjoyable. Like FA2 was fun. And in the female divisions, we don't have a lot of people sometimes. So I will find myself playing with FA2 ladies or age protected. And sometimes I'm like, dang, I miss this.
Yeah.
I wish I could do this all the time. Instead of sometimes you have such a division that you play the same card every single round.
Yeah.
So I miss FA2. And hearing you guys say that MA2 is kind of just the roughest division is kind of like, oh, I miss it.
And there's in MA2, it's definitely like maybe 10% of the field is that like really don't care or care way too much. But man, when you get carded up with people like that, it's tough.
And it feels like you can't, like every first round of a tournament, it feels like you're going to have at least one of those people on your card.
Yeah.
Like you might not have them after the first round, but in that first round, like you got the guy. You got him. I don't know how to say it.
I think every area has that guy that people don't want to play a tournament with.
Yeah, I know my guy.
I know my guy.
Yeah, I know mine.
It's Evan.
It's me as well.
It's me as well.
Evan doesn't want to be on a card with himself.
To get back to the main conversation, when do you guys think, for our listeners, is the best time to move up? Like, say you are a rec or intermediate player or a novice player and you're thinking about moving up, but you're not sure. Let's go novice all the way up to intermediate. When is the time to move up to the next one?
I feel like from novice to rec is when you feel like you are at least finding some consistency and you understand the game more.
Rating aside.
Yeah, rating aside. who cares? Not in from novice to rec. Novice is exactly what it should be. Novice is just the newbies. They don't really understand what's going on. People like Morgan are going to be a novice. Like someone who just really just wants to enjoy the game, and we're here just to have fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I think to kind of piggyback on that too, like for novice to rec, I see the biggest difference being a understanding of the rules and how to play the game within the set of rules.
Yep.
Like you rec players still throw bad shots, but I don't see rec players making like drastically incorrect decisions or not knowing how to do things. Like most rec players know to mark your lie if they're gonna not leave the disc down, or if they're gonna pick that disc up or something. Like they know how to do that. They know circle one rules usually. They know the basics. And also I think your control just gets a little bit better, I think, in a rec comparatively to novice. Like in a novice event, you could see a dude shank a shot by 50, 60 degrees off course. Like just totally grip lock wrong direction. WTF, Richard, like what were you doing? Right.
And then the next shot, absolutely pipe it.
In the next shot's great. But like in rec, you don't see that as much. Like if they're gonna miss, it's probably gonna be like 20 degrees off, you know, like definitely not in the fairway. Probably wasn't ever going to be in the fairway, but didn't potentially harm a nearby bystander.
Yeah, I agree. I think novice to rec is definitely more a understanding of game rather than rating. What about rec to intermediate?
I feel like rec to intermediate is kind of a ratings. If that's 905 for you boys, right? Or is it 900?
900.
900.
I do feel like there is a difference between someone who's rated in the 800s and someone who's starting to get rated in the 900s. So I do feel like around that rating, that's when we should start thinking about moving up, because the pad does start changing at rec. So if you're getting really good and your rating's going up, I feel like for me, that is when you want to start going up. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'll say, for the difference between intermediate to rec for me is really just skill. I don't think there's a better understanding of rules or how to use them. You can have I'm a prime example. You can have a pretty mediocre mental approach to the game. You could beat yourself up. You could, have blow up holes, and you could still place in an intermediate tournament if you just know how to throw a disc well. You don't have to have a great mental approach. It's just really, can you control the disc? So for me, I think the difference between a rec and an intermediate player is really is their skill, like their physical skill, not a mental side.
Which also it would be rating.
Rating. Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few things that can go into rating. Like you can throw the same and just make better decisions and technically have a higher rating. But for me, I'm just going to leave it as skill level, like your physical skill level. Like what can you do with a disc?
Yeah, I think for me, rec is if you win like a decent sized field event, you should probably move up. And like if you're within 15 rating points of the cap, I think even just from the harassment you'll get, it's probably, if you're towards the cap in rec, you have obviously put together rounds that are higher than 900 rated. You've put together their intermediate rounds. I think that is the time to kind of at least dip your toe in the pool, play an intermediate tournament, see how it goes. If it's you can pop off, but you can also shoot an 850 rated round, maybe stay in rec. But I also think like you have to think about, are you doing it recreationally, as the name suggests? Like, what do you want out of the sport? So if you're there just you play once a week and there's a tournament, so that's what you want to do, yeah, stick to rec. But I think once you start winning rec tournaments and really pushing your rating, then you need to start considering moving up to intermediate.
Yeah, and you're not gaining anything out of grinding rec tournaments either. Like your players pack is probably more value than what your earnings are if you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like, maybe 20-30 bucks for first place in rec most times?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, well, intermediate to advanced, for the female side, from intermediate to advanced, you need the skill level. One, I feel like combo, like you need to kind of be at the skill level to be able to perform in FA1, but I feel like you also need to be mentally ready for it. So it's kind of like when you feel like your skill is there and you kind of feel like, okay, I can handle this
Mm-hmm.
for FA1. That's how I feel, because FA1 for me was a very difficult division. FA2 was a great time. We had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like moving up, being skill level ready, because you're going to have people who are birdieing it up like crazy. And now you're starting to see scores that are under par more often than not. So,
Mm-hmm.
so kind of a combo of the two.
Yeah, I would totally agree, even for the men's side, moving up to MA1. I would add to it that you need to have a firm understanding of your game.
Mm-hmm.
When I first went from MA2 to MA1, I had an understanding of my game. I played my game well. And then when I moved up, for some reason in my brain, I need to start playing the game like they play it.
Yep.
And
How'd that go for you, buddy?
I stagnated quick. And I actually, I almost had my ratings drop below 935 and be forced back into intermediate, like ratings wise.
Yeah.
Not actually, but ratings wise. And it really like took a hit on my confidence, and I had to take a moment to think about, like, why did that happen? Why did I blow up so bad? Why did it just become like a bad thing? And I realized that the problem was that I wasn't playing the game that I had been playing the whole time. I was trying to do something different with this. I was trying to use a different set of skills that I had never practiced, that I'd never used before.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and I really rethought what my game was, and I leaned on my strengths as a player. And by doing that, it gave me a lot of confidence in what I could do, to the point where, like, competing now in MA1, I feel like I could have a bad tournament and still cash, like, no problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like on that border now of like, after AM Worlds, I'm probably going to start playing a lot of MPO events, and just seeing where I am there. And if I don't take cash, if I don't place in those, then oh well. But I don't feel the need. Like, if I can have a bad round in MA1, why not go play MPO? Sorry, if I can have a bad round and still cash in MA1, why not go play MPO?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I do think something to consider intermediate to advanced in the mixed divisions is distance. I think you need generally to be able to throw 350 to like hold your own
Consistently.
Yeah,
consistently, not you threw a full flex in an open field and it caught the wind perfectly.
Yeah.
Like a 300-foot water carry shouldn't concern you.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
No.
I've played with a lot of guys in MA1 that like you're throwing a putter to this like 300-foot hole and they're bailing out left because they don't want to challenge the water because they don't know if they can go, and they're sacrificing at least a stroke to the entire field because they can't even attempt it. And I don't see how that's enjoyable, especially because you're risking your discs and all that sort of stuff at that point. But MA1 is generally a huge jump in distance from MA2, so that is something really to consider. And again, I think if you're winning or challenging for a win consistently in your division, no matter what area, ratings really don't matter unless you're at that cap, because different areas have different skill sets. If you're in North Dakota, I can't imagine that the disc golf scene there is like particularly potent. So if you're challenging for wins in MA2 and you're 800, you're like an 880 rated player, maybe consider moving up to advanced, because you'll learn a lot more from playing with better people.
Yeah, to add to your distance thing, dude, as soon as you said that, the first thing I thought of is hold 9 at 4 palms.
Yep.
Hold on. I gotta get there. Hold on.
First
the
hole in
water.
pond.
The first,
The
the
pond.
first one over the lake, right?
Mhm.
Easy shot. That's
Yep.
what, maybe 320, 330.
From which
If
pad?
you're
From
going from longs to
Just to the one just across the water, like not the
It's
far
330.
deep one. Just like
Yeah.
330 to cross the water, right?
Mhm.
Like I've played a couple MA1 tournaments where I step up to that tee pad and I throw a mid across it. Like
Right.
I throw my reactor,
Mhm.
and guys will be like, "Oh, like it must be so nice to just be able to cross that." Like blah blah blah. Like I'm worried about not getting across. Like I'm gonna go over there and take my par. And I'm like, dude, you're not playing in the right division. Then like you're supposed to be playing from short pads. Then if you can't throw 330,
Yeah.
like
I can do a
I could
330
throw my
long carry.
putter if I wanted to, but I'm gonna throw a mid because it's easier for me to.
Yeah, I think MA1 is really that. Can you see yourself throwing with a pro division, because you're generally playing the same tee pads and the same layouts as the pros. So if you have a local course where, like, let's say you have the North Dakota Open, we're going to keep going to North Dakota, and there's a course there that you generally play from the mids or the short tees, and the pros always play from the long tees for this local tournament. And you look at those long tees and you go, I could never play that. I get destroyed playing that. Probably need to work on your game before you move up to MA1, because more than likely MA1 is going to go play at least one round.
Well, yeah,
that
I
long
feel like
layout.
MA1 should match MPO for pad wise. I mean, I felt that way for FA1 FPO, but people don't like it when I say that, so I'm just gonna.
Touchy subject.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, an MA1 player should have the possibility to do what an MPO player does, but not have the consistency to do that at the MPO level.
Yes.
Like I can make the throws that people on the Disc Golf Pro Tour can make. I can do them, but I might only do them 1 out of 10 times.
Right.
So I'm obviously not a Disc Golf Pro Tour player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is a good way to put it. Good way to wrap it all up there. You guys have anything else to add?
No, I think we're good here.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up for today. You can find Kim on Instagram at Kim the Great, Josh at Professor_Disc Golf, and me at Evan Amstutz DG. Remember to follow the pod on Instagram at Mediocre Disc Golf Pod and on Twitter at Mediocre DG Pod. If you want to support us, buy our shirts on mythicdiscgolf.com and listen to us every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars in a review. And if you didn't, still give us 5 stars and tell us why. We know we aren't perfect because we are mediocre.